Hello everyone, let's solve LeetCode 20, valid parentheses today. It's a very typical step problem, and most of the problems in LeetCode about parentheses, like most are can be solved by stack. Okay, let's take a look at this problem. So the problem is given a string s containing just 6 possible characters. Like determine if the input string is valid or input string is valid if open brackets must be closed by same type of bracket, and the open bracket must be closed in the correct order. So let's take a look at these 5 examples. The first example is pretty trivial. It's valid. The second example is also valid, but for the third one, it's not, since the open bracket is not closed by the same type of the closed bracket. And for the fourth example, here, the open bracket is not closed by the same type. And for the fifth example, it's valid. Okay, so for the first example, we know that when we say open bracket, we just push it to a stack. Then we saw this closed bracket, and it matches the top of the stack. So we can just consume the top element in the stack. We just pop it from stack. Then we finish iterating the string. At last, we just check if the stack is empty. If it's empty, it means like we consume all the open bracket, so we can just return true. Otherwise, we should return false, since it means there are some unconsumed, unmatched symbols. For second example, for each open bracket, then we meet a closing bracket, which matches the top element in the stack, so we can always consume it. Okay, at last, we finish iterating the original strings, and the stack is also empty, so we also return true for this example. Okay, for third example, when index is 0, we push this open bracket into my stack. When index is 1, we push another open bracket into my stack. Now index is 2. So closing bracket does not match the open bracket, like in the top of my stack. So it's a mismatch. We can return false immediately. Okay, let's see what's the implementation look like. So first of all, we define a container, which is stack. And at last, we check if the stack is empty. If it's empty, we return true. Otherwise, we return false. Okay, now we need to for loop each character in my original input. If the stack is empty, we can just push the character into the stack, no matter if it's a open bracket or closing bracket. Otherwise, the stack is not empty. So we need to check the current character. If the current character is open bracket, we just push it to the stack. Otherwise, it's a closing bracket, so we should match it. We try to match the closed bracket with the top element in the stack. If it's a match, when we can consume the top element in the stack, then we just pop the element. Otherwise, it's a mismatch. We just return false. Okay, that's the implementation. So it's not a very hard problem as long as you're familiar with stack. And do remember, maybe more than half of the problems related to parentheses that can be solved by stack. Thanks.